Remains in the lead by a sizable margin after 4 rounds. So 2 more dives to come from our 6 divers.
Yep.
Does it change your strategy at all?
You know, it doesn't. It shouldn't. I mean, it depends. Every diver's different. I mean, some people like to watch the scoreboard. Me personally, I didn't prefer to do that. But I had a diver that did. So it depends on which one you are. Some people don't even know. You know, they got their headphones on. They're not paying any attention. So you see Nathaniel there doing a reverse 3.5 tuck, and unfortunately for him, that's a high degree of difficulty at 3.5. But, you know, if you miss the entry and you don't come out at the right time, those scores go down, and you kind of get in a spot where, you know, can you do that dive? And transferring that from a reverse 2.5 tuck on the 1 meter to the reverse 3.5 up there can be challenging sometimes.
36.75.
So we got Matthew doing a back 2.5 somersaults pike. Again, trying to claw his way back in here and have a good contest and, you know, get something out of it. But every time you're in a final, you get a chance to learn something about competing and doing that. And they'll have a contest here in a couple weeks.
Well, that one looked pretty good.
Yeah, that was a good dive. It was a little back, but you know what? I think that's going to help. It's going to, you know, give some confidence going into that last round.
6, 7, 5.5, 6.5, 6.
I think it's important to note for the divers, you know, that they can't qualify directly to the NCAA championships from the conference championship. So they've got another competition here coming up in the zone championship. So it's a step for them too.
It's Nyquist from North Carolina.
So Jack is doing an inward 2.5 somersaults pike, and again, he set himself up in a pretty good spot here. That's a solid dive, and I think one of the things you'll notice on Jack's dive there is his flight position as he grabs right here underneath in there. His knees are a little relaxed. You know, if you're a judge, it's hard to see that. We're getting the slow motion view, and it's easier for us to see over here, but when you're watching it live, it can be hidden a little bit, so you're trying to do your best to see what's actually going on there, but you can only judge what you see.
Here's Grisell.
Dylan is doing a reverse 2.5 somersault pike. So starting with that forward takeoff and then rotating back towards the diving board. And you see he had a little trouble there. It didn't quite get the connection and get it moving on the start so that he had enough rotation, and then it ended up short of vertical and not quite all the way around in that 2.5 somersaults.
37.5 was his score, unfortunately. Roberge now will step up in 2nd place.
You know, and having that experience and competing at the Canadian Olympic trials and doing that and having some representing them along the way, that makes a big difference. You know, you've been in more finals and you've seen some more experience. So
he was a bronze medalist at the Olympic trials.
And he's doing a forward 2.5 with 1 twist. And again, solid dive, and I think what you're seeing here is somebody who's obviously has some experience stepping up and really diving well and executing.
73.50. We'll see if that's good enough to keep him up near the top. Should be.
Yeah. He and his coach will be pretty happy with that so far.
We'll have one more dive to come. Here's Coumos from Notre Dame.
And you got Joe doing the exact same dive. So you see his power. He's definitely not lacking in that. You can see he gets really high off the diving board. He's probably up there close to 7.5 meters in the air, you know, above the water, and gets it done really easy.
Scores a 72. He actually got one 9.0.
Yeah, again, that's a very good dive. It's so high, and it makes a difference. And you're watching it as a judge, and it's impressive.
Here's our leader, Giordano. He has led from the very first round.
Dominic's got an inward 2.5 pike, so a little lower degree of difficulty here in this round of the 3.0. So we'll see. He did a nice job with that. I think that's one probably that's a little, didn't quite have the right connection, so it's not quite as high as some of the other dives, so it's a little lower, but it finishes really strong.
Yeah, actually not one of his better dives in terms of score, but it keeps him in first place, 67.5.
Again, if you consider that a miss at 67 points, that's not a bad thing. And, you know, there's some guys that would say, hey, I'll take that any day.
Final diver of the round.
And Briadam here doing reverse 3.5 somersaults tuck again. High degree of difficulty, 3.5. Chance to get back in. Almost really, really good. Just a little short on the entry. You can almost hear that sound too going in the water. He's got good hands, but just a little archy and short on the finish. So we'll see what the judges think.
73.50. And for Herrera, he remains in third place, but he's just a point behind Roberge. So heading into the final round, Giordano has a sizable lead over Roberge and Herrera. They're in a dogfight for second place.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see how that turns out. It looks like Dominic's got a good chance to claim back the ACC title here, or get the ACC title.
Hernandez's final dive.
That was a good one from him, and he'll learn. You know, he's a freshman. Obviously has some good junior experience, but you know, coming in, the collegiate experience is a little different. So did a nice job with that. It's a solid dive.
57.0. Hernandez was the last qualifier into the championship round.
Yep. And you see Matthew Casillas here doing the back 1.5 somersaults with 3.5 twists. So a lot of things going on here in those twisting dives where you're somersaulting and twisting. And that's a great dive from there. That's a hard dive to control because you really have to stand it up straight, and he did a pretty good job of that. I think that's just a little bit fast on the somersault, and that's why it's kind of hard to stop at the end.
51.15. And now Nyquist.
And you probably hear some hometown fans for Jack here, I assume, and doing the forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. I believe he actually does it out, where he does the somersault first, comes out into the twisting action. And that was a nice dive. It was well executed. He was moving very quickly. You see how fast that twist happens, and then you got to square back out, look at the water, and put a good entry on it.
81.60, a good finishing dive for Nyquist.
That was very nicely done.
So he ends on a positive. We'll have to see where it ends up putting him in the standings. And now Grisell.
So you see Dylan here is going to do a forward 2.5 with 1 twist. So one less twist than the other, goes down in degree of difficulty to 3.0.
Did you like that?
I did. From the head-on vision there, you can see him kind of hurtle sideways, land on the corner of the diving board a little bit. And as we're looking back at it here from the side, that a little stompy on the diving board, but it's a good dive with tight positions and everything you would want. Just got to land on the middle and let it go up a little bit more.
So 63 for him. Roberge in second place, trying to hold on to that.
So you have Tyler here doing the forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. So again, a little harder degree of difficulty at 3.4.
He's not quite a point ahead of Herrera.
Yeah, so it's going to set up really interesting to see what happens here. And I think, unfortunately for Tyler there, he missed his hurdle. He was a little too close to the end of the springboard before going back up. And, you know, it's hard to hold your composure at that point and stay balanced.
Yeah, 44.20. He's opened the door for Herrera to grab second place back.
Absolutely.
Coumos will go before Giordano and Herrera.
Yep, you'll see Joseph do the same dive we just saw Tyler do. It's a forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. Again, that 3.4 degree of difficulty. And we remember his full twisting 2.5 the last round, how high he went. And again, he makes the dive easy. Again, got to clean it up and put in the right entry on it, and make it a little nicer in the air in the flight position. But it's a great takeoff.
62.90. So it's coming down to these final two divers. Giordano just needs a decent dive here, and he's going to win the title. Briadam, though, has a chance to grab second place.
And I think you're going to see Dominic here, I think, do a very good front 2.5 with 2 twists. Again, same dive we've seen the last 2 divers do. But he seems to be on a roll. And I think that was solid. I don't think that was his best by any case, because he got a little in trouble, but that's the difference in having experience of, you know, riding it out and being a little off in your hurdle, but still doing a great dive.
76.50 for Giordano. And that should be enough to win him the title. Herrera, the last diver to go.
I think Dominic likes to dive in this pool, since this is where he won the NCAA championship last year too. So
it's good memories here. You're right.
So we'll see if Briadam can finish up with a solid reverse 1.5 somersaults with 3.5 twists. Again, 3.5 degree of difficulty. And that should be good enough to put him in that second place. That was a nice dive and well executed.
Score will be coming in just a moment, and it does vault him up into second place. That is an 82.25. So Giordano is the ACC champion. Herrera finishes second, and Nyquist takes third. Roberge's dive pushed him all the way back down to fifth.
Yeah, a lot can happen in a short period of time there. Again, that was a good idea of showing how that happens. Is, you know, you miss a little bit and you lose your focus for a second, and you know, the standings can change quickly.
So Giordano, the reigning NCAA champion, last year's diver of the year, wins the ACC 3-meter men's diving championship. And Briadam Herrera, who was runner-up to Giordano last year at the NCAAs, but won this event, finishes second this year.
Well, we shall see how that puts them in going forward. Now, you know, neither of them have punched their ticket to the NCAAs yet. They'll go to the zone meet here in a couple of weeks, and then, you know, off to Indianapolis for the NCAA championships, hopefully in March. So